This is episode 16 of our trip to Alaska. It includes our visit to Skagway. After leaving Haines, we took a 1-hour ferry through Alaskan fjords to spend 4 days exploring in and around Skagway. Skagway was the last but not least of our destinations in Alaska. It's easy to understand why Skagway is a top Alaska visitor destination. It has wide-ranging appeal, including a compelling history, architecture, a scenic railway, and a national historic park. Skagway and its population of 1,240 attract close to 1 million visitors each year. Skagway, whose nickname is the Gateway to the Klondike, is located in Alaska's Panhandle. The area's population swelled to 30,000 after gold was discovered in the Canadian Klondike during 1896. For a 2-year period of time in its history, 1897 and 1898, Skagway was described by the Northwest Mounted Police as being a little bit better than hell on earth. The town's leaders had left to try their hands at gold mining, leaving a vacuum for an unscrupulous person by the name of Jefferson Randolph Soapy Smith to take control over much of the town. Smith was a gangster and sophisticated swindler who operated a ring of thieves who swindled prospectors with cards, dice, and the shell game. His telegraph office charged $5 to send a message anywhere in the world. Little did prospectors know there were no telegraph services in Skagway. His telegraph wires went no farther than the telegraph room's walls. Smith also controlled a comprehensive spy network, a private militia called the Skagway Military Company, the town newspaper, and the Deputy U.S. Marshal's office. Fights, prostitutes, and liquor were ever present on Skagway streets. Smith's reign came to an end when he was shot and killed by Frank Reid on July 8, 1898, in the famed shootout on Juneau Wharf. Reid was an American soldier, teacher, city engineer, vigilante, and famously known for killing Smith. However, Smith managed to wound Reid in the shootout. Reid died from his wounds 12 days later. Reid instantly became a hero. The town provided a monument as a tombstone for Reid that read, "He gave his life in honor of Skagway." Both Reid and Smith are now interred at Skagway's Gold Rush Cemetery. Skagway was an important port during the Klondike Gold Rush. The White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad, part of the area's mining past, is now in operation purely for the tourist trade and runs throughout the summer months. The port of Skagway is a popular stop for cruise ships. The tourist trade is a big part of the business of Skagway. Skagway is also part of the setting for Jack London's book, The Call of the Wild, and the films North to Alaska with actor John Wayne and The Gold Rush with Charlie Chaplin include Skagway in their settings. While we were there, we visited Skagway's museum, its Gold Rush Cemetery, and nearby Lower Reed Falls. The Klondike Gold Rush National Historical Park explored the nearby abandoned town of Dyea that once rivaled Skagway for the title of Gateway to the Klondike, and of course, hiked on some of the area's trails. The Skagway Museum occupies the entire first floor of a century-old former college. Its mission is to enrich community life by collecting, preserving, and interpreting the cultural heritage, arts, and history of Skagway and the surrounding area, including artifacts from various aspects of local history, such as Native Alaskan and Klondike Gold Rush history. A popular display at the museum is the one that celebrates the death of Soapy Smith. The Soapy Smith saga continues at the Gold Rush Cemetery. According to the historical records, the first burial at the cemetery took place in the early spring of 1898. Many prospectors were laid to rest here, although certainly one of the two most famous tombstones at the site belonged to Soapy Smith. The other belongs to Frank Reid, the town's hero who shot and killed Soapy Smith. Soapy was buried a few yards outside of the Gold Rush Cemetery, as he was despised by the people of Skagway and they didn't want his remains to be buried next to theirs. Frank Reid's tombstone is a monument erected by the town in honor of his killing Soapy Smith. The Lower Reid Falls Trailhead and Gold Rush Cemetery are at the same location. After you walk through the cemetery, you'll find a trail in the back that leads to the Lower Reid Falls. Klondike Gold Rush National Historical Park is a national historical park operated by the National Park Service that commemorates the Klondike Gold Rush of the late 1890s. Though the gold fields that were the ultimate goal of the Stampeders lay in the Yukon Territory, Skagway comprised staging areas for the trip there and the routes leading in its direction. Much of downtown Skagway is located in the historic park. The following video clips comprise brief virtual tours of Skagway, the Klondike Gold Rush National Historic Park's Visitor Center Museum, and the historic park. The Mascot Saloon was Skagway's longest-running saloon. It opened during the Gold Rush and closed due to local prohibition in 1916. This building was most famously used as a base of operations by the gangster, conman, and outlaw Soapy Smith. Today it is a unique museum celebrating Skagway's tourism history. This is the White Pass and Yukon Route Broadway Depot. It was used until the 1960s. Today it is the park's visitor center. This was the Martin Engine House. It is reminiscent of homes built for railway employees. Frederick Burroweed operated this store to sell cigars and confectionery. He lived upstairs with his family. The small buildings behind the store are cribs. Cribs are where prostitutes practice their profession. This building was built as barracks for Skagway's Buffalo Soldiers. The Buffalo Soldiers were an all-black company of the 24th Infantry. They were stationed in Skagway to assist with maintaining law and order in the frontier town. This was the Goldberg Cigar Store, the oldest storefront the National Park Service owns. The building was constructed before the town of Skagway was established. This is the Peniel Mission Building. It served as a Christian mission, one of several Peniel Mission locations in Alaska. This is the Pacific Clipper Line Office. It served as the steamship line office that brought passengers to Skagway. Although the Red Onion Saloon isn't part of the historic park, it is a historic structure that is favorite among visitors and locals alike. Built in 1897, the original Red Onion Saloon operated as a brothel in Skagway. Its sense of history and excitement has not been lost. In addition to being voted the best small town bar in Alaska, the saloon offers Skagway tours and a brothel museum on its second floor. The historic abandoned town of Dyea is part of the Klondike Gold Rush National Historic Park, from which Chilkoot Trail leads to Dawson City in Canada's Yukon Territory. During the early days of the gold rush, Dyea rivaled Skagway in terms of size and population. However, the port at Dyea had shallow water, making it difficult for ships to access, while neighboring Skagway had deep water. Dyea was abandoned when the White Pass and Yukon Railroad chose Skagway's White Pass Trail instead of the alternative Chilkoot Trail for its route. The 1925 Charlie Chaplin movie, The Gold Rush, featured the Chilkoot Trail's route to the Yukon. All that remains of Dyea now is an abandoned but beautiful scenic area.
Full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now, just to be with you somehow. Unexpected love was found. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come.
The Skagway area offers stunning hiking trails to hikers at all skill levels.